Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have with us Pete Bernardo. How are you, Pete?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to talk to you.
Oh man, same here. I was looking forward to it. I know I had to cancel in August, right? Were you one of them that I canceled? Yeah.
Yeah, we pushed it a little bit, but no problem. Yeah. I don't.
I'm so glad.
With what we have going on every day, sometimes that extra hour you get back is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it's like, oh, nice. But yeah, it was good, and I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate that you still, came on the show. And I'm glad that you're here. I want to kind of give you the stage to introduce yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm Pete Bernardo. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I, on the personal side, wife, 2 kids. I got the whole kit and caboodle, soccer practice, volleyball practice. We got it all. On the business side, I run a company called Punchlist with my co-founder, Nick Rosenthal, and we have built a collaboration layer for marketing teams and for non-marketers. It allows someone to just point at what their feedback is, kind of eliminating any confusion about what's left to be done, and also kind of bridging any design gap in language. And I've been running that for a few years now. Last year we did Techstars. We were fortunate enough to raise a fundraising round. And now we're just building out our team and kind of working to find kind of perfect product market fit.
Nice. So this is a software, right? Like it's a website or a dashboard. Okay. And
yeah, it's a piece of
collaboration. So it's
a piece of software that lives in your browser.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a collaboration layer where instead of asking someone to download a piece of software, what we allow marketing departments or agencies to do, or even just other entrepreneurs, is they could just share one link, and it allows them to load in a PDF or a marketing website, and then they could just mark everything they see wrong. So for us and kind of our insight, if you tried to give a designer feedback, you're often limited to email or hopping on a Zoom call, and then kind of they're asking you silly questions about what page were you on, what are you looking at, can you show me exactly what you? So it creates a lot of friction. Yeah, everyone has. I mean, and we see use cases across the board. So it's a very common thing. And so for us, we tried to build a very lightweight, simple solution that doesn't require you to install anything, that doesn't require you to be very technical, and then convey all the things that you would have said if you were in person, which is typically like you're pointing at a screen or you're kind of on the Zoom call telling someone exactly where you're looking. We allow you to do that asynchronously without even having to be in the same room or same geography. And you could just share the link, and all the work happens, all the feedback happens directly in the project. So this is not just one-to-one. You can share it with a dozen people, and everyone's feedback happens there. So there's not conflicting ideas or misinterpretations.
So is it like dynamic in real time where you actually see the designer do the work?
So that's actually a really interesting question. So we don't live in the application that the designer is doing the work in. What's funny is we thought this was going to be a problem for us, but it ended up being kind of like what the designers want. So the designers don't want the puppet master, if you will, right? Like everyone, has the client who just wants to be in the design app with them and tells them what to change. The designers don't want that. They want a presentation layer where they can gather all the feedback, and it's outside of their application. And so that's what we provide them. So they can do their design work and kind of the nitty gritty of whatever they're doing. If they're building a website or they're making a brand, they can do that in their applications. But when they want to do feedback rounds, they do it in Punchlist.
So how does this differentiate from some of the project management tools like Asana, Trello?
Yeah. So for us, it's that separation of you're not going to most likely invite your client to your project management board. You don't want them to see the messiness of how the sausage is made. So what it allows agencies to do in our example is if they're building a website, for example, they could load it in Punchlist. They send the Punchlist link out to the client. And then we actually have direct integrations with Asana, Jira, ClickUp, GitHub, you name it. And the feedback from the client goes directly into those project management boards, right? So the agencies or the marketing teams get the best of both worlds. They get the ability to have all their tasks in their board of choice, like Asana or their tool of choice. But then they have the separation where the client gets to give the feedback and they're not having to repeat everything. They're not having to retype it. And so that's where we live. We're kind of a bridge to your project management boards.
So it's like a more internal type of platform for work within, and the best client would be like an agency, or for me, for example, if someone asks me to do some rebranding for their business, for example, I can have this tool with my team and do everything within that, the nitty gritty, right? The nitty gritty can be done in there, but the client can just see the final product. It's just an internal way of managing the actual project. Right now, what we do is just email, right? Email or WhatsApp. So is this correct?
Yeah. What I like to simplify it down for anyone I talk to is that anytime you would have sent an email saying, can you review this? That's where we step in. So if it's a website, if it's a landing page, if it's a PDF, anytime you would have said, can you review this, and send them a link or send them the attachment, that's where we step in. And we provide all of the stuff that they don't know to tell you, right? So we tell you what page they're on. We show you where they clicked. We allow them to kind of type in their notes. We even allow them to record video if they wanted to give a piece of video feedback. Yep, absolutely. And so, we're that presentation layer between you and anyone that's external to your project or even internal to your project. It's that collaboration layer. It's an annotation layer for your marketing work.
So it sounds like a micro niche that you guys found.
It is and it isn't, which is pretty interesting. Design feedback in general, or feedback between two parties, we see it across tons of industries, right? We've started with marketing, but we have professors working with their students on assignments. Oh, yes. We have architects working with their clients, landscape architects working with their clients. Obviously, we have like web designers and web developers working with their clients, marketing teams working with their executives. So this simplification I made earlier of, can you review this? That crosses kind of a chasm. So it's maybe a niche in terms of the stage, but it's not a niche in terms of an audience. It's pretty universal to any kind of type of work you're doing.
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah, for whoever needs to use it is definitely a usable tool, because everyone in that industry will need it. But the actual niche I'm referring to, the process within producing something within that, is like a micro niche.
For sure. But it happens, like we see projects where they're on version 18. It happens kind of all the time, that back and forth. It's a key part of anyone's process. It's just something that in the past you would kind of just leave it to email, right? So you would send the email out and just, hope it comes back. But usually it comes back really messy, right? It comes back with, Mary saying to make it one thing and Jim saying to make it another thing. And then you're in the middle trying to fight between the two. You're having to have another call to explain kind of to one person what the other person thought. Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's communication within too, like chat. Obviously that's you must have chat within, like the people can organize, and there's different projects that you can create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we allow you to upload a PowerPoint file, a PDF, like I said, a website. Website's interesting because there's nothing to install. You didn't have to ask your developer to install anything. You just put the URL in and you can start marking up someone's site. which is great because we see it with consultants all the time where they're trying to give feedback to someone they're not working with yet. And so they can load their website in and say, oh, these are the things I would change. And yeah, we allow you to have a conversation in there. We even allow you to upload files within your comments. So if you think about it, if you're doing a website, the way we see it is the client will upload files like, here's the image of the restaurant, or here's the image of my team. And it's directly associated to their feedback. And it takes a lot of the silly work, a lot of the back and forth out of the equation for our customers.
And is this like a monthly fee, or is it more like one-time cost you download, or, it's obviously not a download, but is it a one-time or monthly?
So it's a monthly subscription. Punchlist starts at $9 a month, and it's unlimited guests.
That's good.
So if you're a designer and you have 10 projects, you're really only paying for your seat. And this just comes out of kind of what I saw in the agency world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very affordable, and for us, you can pay for integrations and you could pay for more features. But the core of the product, what we've talked about so far, it's just $9 per seat per month.
So this could be even utilized in, for example, in the podcasting world as well, right? So when a host is working with his team for thumbnails or production, everything can be done in there too. That's a market as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're even going to support video probably later this year. And so you can, send edits to your editor, and then on the next slide of a Punchlist project, you could have kind of the thumbnails, and you could have just a project across a bunch of different mediums. So it allows work that may have happened in Asana or email or a third party all to be placed in one spot. And so you don't have any misunderstanding of where the design feedback is. It's going to be in Punchlist.
It's all tracked there. It's all saved. The project, even after a year, 2 years, whatever, if somebody wanted to go back, they can actually see all the steps.
Oh, yeah. And we have statuses like it's in review or it's done.
Awesome.
It's ready for feedback. Yeah. So we have all that. We have approval systems. So basically, if you send like you said, a brand to someone and you want them to mark it as done, you can have them go through every page of the brand and say, yep, these are all done. So Punchlist is a ton of functionality. It's funny where we are at now. I taught myself how to write software to build Punchlist. I was never a software.
So you built it yourself?
Yeah. So the backstory is, it's funny. We kind of jumped right into the product. The backstory is I spent about 15 years kind of on the design side in this agency role. So Punchlist is a problem that I saw, that I lived. And after about 15 years of kind of getting to as high as I can get within an agency, I decided I wanted something more with my career. My family has always been entrepreneurial. So my uncle owns a restaurant now for the last 45 years in Rome. My other uncle owns a bunch of stores. And my mother had like a beauty salon. So like we've always been entrepreneurial. It's been part of our blood, but I've never had the confidence to kind of leap out on my own. I've had spurts and stops. So I was always a career guy. So I did career for a long time, and I got a lot of experience and a lot of big meetings and opportunities. But then I eventually got frustrated enough that I'm like, all right, I'm going to go try to do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I just sat down for a year thinking about what I could do. And I would do like side projects for other, like design side projects for people. And eventually I said, you know what, this problem working with these clients and working with external people, it's something that I think I actually could get behind and rally. And so I taught myself how to write software. I would chunk up the project into 1 hour tasks every night. And I would sit there and I'd have two screens, and in one screen, it would be me watching someone do it. And in another screen, it would be me typing it. And I'd go like, okay, that makes sense. And then I'll come over here and see how it would apply to me. And I did that for 6 months. And then I started showing it to people and getting feedback and pivoting on the idea kind of based on their feedback. And then probably after another 6 months, I got to the point where I felt like, okay, this could be public and people can purchase it. And so I did that for about the first year. And then I went another year kind of just building the product, having some consultants help me with it, eventually I wasn't writing the best stuff, so I needed more help. And then I had an opportunity to join Techstars. And so Techstars happened last year. And I have a good friend that's the managing director. And he said, he had this moment where he was just like, 5 years from now, if Punchlist is not the known name in the space, how are you going to feel? And if you're going to feel fine, then keep it small. Just keep it you, and you're doing good. You got agencies paying for it. But if you want it to be bigger, if you want it to be known, be like a big known name, you should consider doing Techstars. And so I had a very good friend, a friend that I had known for a decade, who was a fantastic engineer. I asked him if he'd be excited to join the team and become a co-founder. And so we did that. And then we joined Techstars. And then Techstars was a roller coaster. Techstars was like a 14-week program, very intensive. And then we were fortunate enough coming out of that to raise a round of funding last November. And then, we've been burning the midnight oil ever since.
I love it, Pete. I love it, man. Like this is amazing. So it definitely sounds like you know a lot of people, because when we started this show, before we started recording, you mentioned that you're friends with Jason Hennessy, right? Yeah,
Jason was on
Small World, you know.
Yeah, Jason was on this podcast not too long ago, and it's a small world, and that's my first career. So in my first career, I was kind of a C-level director at an agency, and Jason was part of a 10-person, it's called a Vistage group. So Vistage is like a mastermind, if you will. And it's a global organization. And Jason happened to be in my group. And now Jason lives halfway across the country and was on your podcast. So it's a crazy small world.
Can you believe that's small? Like they say, a third remove, right? So this is fantastic. Awesome. And ladies and gentlemen in the audience, just check out Pete, man. Like he coded the program himself, an idea, and then he learned how to program, and he created this tool. Like if you guys are thinking about doing something, if you are contemplating, you have an idea, you fix a problem. You found a problem and you can fix that problem, and you're just sitting on it. Just learn from Pete. Look what he did. He learned to code, and he created this amazing product. So if he can do it, you guys can do it.
Anyone can. I'm basically a caveman. I'm basically a caveman, so anyone can do it. But no, it absolutely. But look, with all that being said, I definitely was very hesitant to make the leap. So I can empathize with people that feel that they want to do it, but they're comfortable where they're at. That's but to me, what was important is I found the pain or the problem that I felt like I could run through the wall with, right? It wasn't just some random idea. It just wasn't something half baked. It was like, no, actually I've seen that consistently and I can fix it. I think I can, I have a solution for that. And I'm willing to suffer the pain to learn how to write software to do it, because it is painful. It is a hard thing to achieve. It's a frustrating thing. But absolutely. I recommend anyone take the leap.
Yeah, Pete. So what was going through your internal world? Like when you were thinking about this and you were seeing this problem and you had this idea to fix that problem, if you can go back at that time, what were you thinking? What was that feeling you were getting? Is that, okay, first were you keeping it hush hush, and then you kind of went in and started Googling it, or you research if anything is out there already? Like what steps did you take?
Yeah, well, I think that's a misnomer. So I think a lot of people have this apprehension to share their idea because they think, someone's going to steal it. The reality of it is the idea and the execution together is the key, right? So it's not just the idea. So for me, I always had the mindset that I'm going to share the idea. I'm going to talk to people about it, and I'm going to get kind of some reaction to them. Something that's not really a pain point for me, or, oh, that's interesting. That does frustrate me. I do see how that leads to pain. One great book I could recommend is called The Mom Test. And so The Mom Test is a really thin read. It's, 40, 50 pages. And it basically coaches you through how to talk to people about your idea. And the reason why it's called the mom test is because if you tell your mom your idea, she's never going to break your heart. She's never going to tell you that's a terrible idea. And so the point of the book is to coach you in how to ask your questions, how to get the insight. So you really get a true understanding of whether there's an opportunity there, or if you're just kind of coaching them on how to give you positive reinforcement. And so I think understanding how to talk to people, understanding how to get to the truth is important. If you just want to do this because you have some idea that you want to see built, this isn't going to work. You have to have the humility to understand when the solution you may have in your mind isn't right. And the market is kind of going to tell you that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just went to the book iBooks and I added it to my want to read list. Hopefully you guys are listening to this and doing the same. These recommendations that come on the show from people like Pete, it's always recommended to take a look at that content, because something helped that person reach somewhere, right? So if you look at what they're recommending, that's one of the points of being part of a show, is that you want to get these insights. Pete, that's great. So from there, did you have, growing up, an entrepreneur spirit in you? Like, did you used to go around and say, you know what, I want to own something like that, or I want to do this, or any kind of those kind of thoughts growing up?
Yeah, for sure. In high school, we used to illegally sell CDs. And so I had a buddy who
I knew a buddy like that too.
I had a buddy who had 1,000 CDs. And I'm like, wow, like people will pay us. And I had a burner, like a CD burner. This dates me. And so one buddy had the catalog, I had the burner. And so we made a list of all the songs. And so people would pay us to burn CDs for them. So I did that a little bit. I've always tried to maybe be entrepreneurial from a consulting standpoint. So helping people with their projects. But to me, there's a difference between that and kind of taking the leap to fulfill your idea. But it's always my father and my whole family, like I said earlier, have always been about making your own destiny and kind of driving kind of what brings you passion. And so, for me, we used to spend the summers in Italy. That's where my family's from. And so I would always be in my uncle's restaurant, kind of cleaning dishes or bussing tables. And, my cousin is the head maitre d', my other cousin's the cook, and it's their business. And so I've always been exposed to that kind of personal grit for your own thing. It's always just been important.
Amazing. Amazing. And can I ask you a question now? And we usually ask our guests this question. What is your inner superpower that actually got you to this point? Dig deep.
Listening.
Oh, good. It's super important.
I think
it's an art.
I think,
I call it art of listening.
Yeah. It's and what I mean by that is simply, unfortunately, in this world, a lot of people just want to hear themselves talk. And it's funny, in a podcast setting saying that. But the reality of it is, when I'm not in this type of one-on-one conversation, I'm usually very quiet and I want to listen and connect the dots to things that are going on in my head. And I think that kind of take a step back and being open to ideas and trying to connect the dots and being patient is something that I personally pride myself on. Whether it's leading teams or building my business, I take a very kind of listening first approach as opposed to assuming I know all the answers.
Amazing, Pete. That's a great share, great superpower. I had to actually, for me in the past, it was I would not listen. You know, I would just, my whole mind was just being around, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? All the focus was there. I didn't even connect with people, right? Because it was just cosmetic. You know, I wasn't even present. I wasn't listening, and just trying to say what I'm going to say, trying to make sure that person hears what I want to say. Like, it was all about me. You know what I mean? So it's art of listening is very special, and there's techniques about it. And once you learn it, you just connect with people on a different level. I think that's the reason why I've seen such growth in the show, is that connection that I'm able to make, and I'm grateful that you took the time to come on this show, Pete. It was a pleasure meeting you, man. Like, I love this stuff. This is one of the reasons why I had this show, is to bring people like you on the show and spread the message, you know, and get people hyped up and take action, take some steps, and create that mindset, create that foundation, learn from people like you that, hey, if they can do it, you can do it, right? So I appreciate you. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate that you came here, and I want all the success that you can possibly get from this. I want you to have that. So.
Oh, I appreciate it. I enjoyed the conversation, and I think conversations like this were so important for me to hear at certain stages of my life, just to hear that you could do it, or you can push through, or there's more to this opportunity. And you don't have to be the 21-year-old kid out of Stanford to pull it off.
No, that's great. Pete, thank you so much. Audience, love you guys. You know, thank you for all the support on social media. Check out Pete's information, the show notes, connect with him, check out his tool, and look up his information, connect with him. You know, like, these guys are coming on a show. They're about you, you know, they're trying to add value and do things for the public. So, you know, he'll be happy to hear from you guys. And for me, you can go to my website.
Pete at Punchlist.com.
Pete at Punchlist.com. That's how you get a hold. Yes, Punchlist.com. And but it'll be all in the show notes anyway, so they'll be able to just click it there. And thank you so much. And I appreciate you, Pete. I appreciate everyone in the audience. And we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.